Hello and welcome to Office Life Simulator. My name is Gabe and I'll be your— oh yeah, I forgot tab doesn't work. Yabba jabba da. Yeah, this isn't an actual login. However, it does create an actual login once you do it, so you know, do something you're actually gonna remember. This is a game I started developing that's like you're an office drone and then you have to like try and get away with doing whatever you can to do, just get away with things instead of doing your job. Or just do your job. I mean, I don't know yet. I'm still working on it. This is slightly weird with clicking, but you can use arrow keys and stuff and type things in. And tab is supposed to switch between the two boxes. You can switch from the password one to the username one, but not from the username to the password one, and I don't know why. Anyhow, once you log in, it automatically opens up the email program, which is called Macro Hard In Scene, Microsoft Outlook. Macro Hard In Scene, yeah, okay. And it randomly generates emails from which is a customer, to Gabe, because I logged in as Gabe, at a certain time. And then, yes, there's a clock in the bottom, which I need to turn into a button so that you can click it and open up a clock program. This is already a button that allows you to minimize and maximize, well, not minimize and maximize, but minimize and open that. I should add a right-click menu so you can maximize it too. Yeah, and like, you know how Windows, you can right-click a thing and it does stuff? Yeah, that. I should make it so you can do that. And then this is an icon for a productivity tracker application thingy, which I need to change how that works because it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a button. I want it to be a button also because I want everything in the taskbar. This is, you know, taskbar. That clickable. And so your job, at least as it is right now, your job is simply to wade through all this textual crap and find whether an email has ipsum or lorem in it. You know, lorem, ipsum. And I'm actually looking right now to see if I can find lorem or ipsum in here. And I am not seeing it. Maybe it's down here. It randomly generates, and it will be in there somewhere. I can't find either one of them, so I'm just going to take a guess and choose lorem. I was wrong. I lost a bunch of points now. Okay, let's see. Is there a lorem or an ipsum in here? Right now the program is just, you can just do the email thing. It doesn't send you any new emails. It doesn't do anything particularly interesting. Ah, see? Ipsum, right there. So this is an ipsum, and if I go to the thing, you can see I got it right. And now my total score is only that. And I only got 120 points for being right because it took me over an hour to reply to the email in game time. So yeah, you have, I think it's like 72 seconds to respond to an email, which is, when you have a lot of them, it's not much time. And I'm not sure if I'll change that later or not, but in any case, yes, there's emails and you can respond to them with lorem or ipsum. Later on I might make it so you actually can like write a reply and replace the whole lorem ipsum thing with actual stuff. Also the text I might replace with randomly generated proper text rather than, you know, gibberish. I might have either proper words randomly generated, which also wouldn't work very well, but I could also use I need to look into it, but I'm thinking about using this thing called Markov chains, which allows you to do stuff. Also, you can close it. However, the close button temporarily doesn't actually close it. It just minimizes it so you can prop it back up. I will change that at some point. But for now, yes, that is the progress on this. You want to look at the code? Too bad, we're looking at the code now. So, this is desktop. I'm using the game state library. Where is it? Where's my libraries? There they are. Hump game states, yes. So we have game states here. I'm also using love frames for the interface. Beholder is an observer pattern library. If you don't know what the observer pattern is, look it up. It's basically some things fire events and other things listen to the events. So you can have an event fire that makes multiple things happen, or you can have something listening for multiple events and respond to them. And I use that basically as a message passing system between the different objects. We have a user object, the login program, the taskbar, the clock program, which is just the interface for the clock, basically. The clock is a very basic thing. The clock program actually interfaces with it. Oh yes, login program I already said. Email program for all the emails. There's an email object used internally by the email program. And productivity tracker, which is the thing that's like, hey, you got points. You don't have points. Oh yes, and this is how you get an email. You receive an email. Oh yes, and the email is past clock because the email needs to know what time to send the email at. So later on I could potentially have emails that are, you receive them a little while after they were actually sent. So I guess I should add some sort of receive time, but I don't care about that right now. Actually, I'm not going to do that because that would imply that your employer gives you a break because your email program didn't work properly. Which, no, your employer's an asshole. That's the way it works. Oh yes, there's a UUID generator in the Loom library, so I decided why not use it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. It's just like a future thing that I might do something with. You have a username and password. Oh yes, it has a saving and loading system here, which I could go over if you really want me to, but I'm not going to bother at the moment. The login program just, you know, puts up that little interface. Oh yes, this is the code. This right here and this right here is what's supposed to allow you to hit tab to go through the frickin' to switch between the menus, but it doesn't work for some reason, and I don't know why, because there's no reason for it to work one way but not the other way as far as I can tell, but it just doesn't work. In any case, yeah, so then you come down here, and when you click on the login button, you have all of this stuff happen, which is to log you in. I also need to add a thing where if you hit enter it does the same stuff, which means I'll probably need to put this in its own function. Actually, a lot of this is duplicated. I really need to refactor this program. I forget if I already have it in my notes to refactor it or not, so I'm actually going to write down refactor login program. Yes, I'm good English. Oh yes, and there's some commented out save stuff in here. It doesn't need to save though, so I don't know why I left that in here. That was copied from the user object and is completely pointless. Oh yes, it changes color because it knows that this is a Git project, so it knows to see if you change things, which is cool. Anyhow, if you go over to the taskbar, it's fairly simple. It has an update function to move it to the top so it stays on top of everything else. Oh yes, it sets size and position, of course. And it has an add item thing, which is a very basic, it's just a wrapper for the list object to add an item to it. And later on, I'm going to make a thing where you can add a specific program at a specific point, which I think this actually already works. Yeah, this already works and is used for the email program, but it doesn't. Yeah, right here, this to do needs to add to specific location. Because the taskbar right now is just first come, first serve. So the clock happens because it happens first, then the email, then that thing, the productivity tracker, then whatever else I'll add in. And that's kind of a dumb way to do it. Like, it just adds things to the end of the list, and then it can remove anything from the list, but it can only add things to the end of the list. So I need to come up with a way to keep track of what things are in what order and put things in specific locations. And yeah, so that'll be interesting once I do that. I also need to add right-click buttons. I already mentioned this with right-click on taskbar, items to do menu stuff, maximize button. Okay, yeah, that's stuff that I may not even get around to for like a long time, because that stuff is unnecessary polish, like unnecessary features. And I'm trying to kind of organize my to-do list for this program, for this project, to be based on what's more important to get done for it to be functional, and then I can polish it up later with extra stuff being better or whatever. Yes, here's the clock. The clock is very simple. It has the real start time. It keeps track of what time in real life you actually started it at. It has, oh yes, the last real start time, because it keeps track of how much time you play on each clock object. Because you can have multiple clock objects, I just use one, but you could have multiple. And then real playtime. Oh yes, that's, yeah, how much time you've played with this clock. If you pass it a clock, then it sets its own start time to that one's time, and else it sets its start time to the real start time, because that would be the start time. And then self time equals start time because, you know, it's starting at that time. You can get the date, which really just, it returns, oh yes, oh yeah, you can get date of a specific value. Yeah, I forgot that I set it up that way. Yeah, so you can pass seconds, or you can get its particular time, well, date, and then you get the date like that. And same thing here. I just noticed these functions are literally the same thing. Oh yes, that's because I wanted it to just return an object, and I couldn't decide whether I wanted to call it getDate or getTime, so I just made it both. GetPrettyDate actually returns the date in a year, month, day format. GetPrettyTime returns it in a 24-hour, hours and minutes format. The update function allows you to update by a certain amount of seconds. It defaults to 1, and it'll just update by that many seconds. And then of course we have a save and load The clock program, like I said, is pretty much just an interface. It has an update function that every 0.02 seconds, it updates the clock to have another second happen, and then it updates the clock time, the text object here, which is the actual thing you see. This text object right here is the one that I'm actually going to replace with a button so that you can click the clock program and have it open something else. So this is actually going to get extended with more stuff in here. Oh yes, I've also tried to make it anything that has a GUI. I have like a remove GUI thing that removes all the GUI objects, and hopefully that is working entirely as intended. It does have a slight problem with the email program where I had to hack around it. So going over to the email program, let's see, clock user and taskbar, yes, so it gets its own reference to the clock because it needs it for internal operations. It gets a reference to the user because it needs it, and taskbar, because it adds itself to the taskbar right here, yeah, taskbar add program, client name, self.frame. So it adds its frame object, because that's what it needs to reference to turn that visible or invisible, and it adds client name, which I've defined up here so that I can change it later on because it's used in a couple of places, like also right here, set name on the frame. When you close it, it sets its visibility to false and then returns false, so it doesn't actually close it, and that's because that's a temporary thing. Right now it just minimizes. Later on I'm going to add a minimize button and replace this with that. Replace this with that. That doesn't actually make sense. Add minimize button and replace that with this. Yes, I'm good at understanding myself. Yes, and that creates a list in the proper place. Oh yes, we store email object references. And the reason we do that, here we go, receive email. So we get an email object, we save it. We save the reference in its own, like we use the reference as a key and then use it as a value. This is a great feature of Lua. You can use any value as a reference. No wait, not as a reference. You can use any value as a key or a value. Of course, value in this case means a reference to an object. It's not an actual raw value, but it allows me to do this, which basically allows me to, somewhere down here, oh yes, yeah, see? Because it's used as its own key, you can just set the reference there to nil to get rid of the reference. Anyhow, yeah, so we collapse a little category with the subject and the from, so it says, you know, who's coming from and stuff. And then we have a list object, which we simply do for the scroll bar. The list object is there for the scroll bar, basically. And then a text object, which has a, I might be doing this wrong. I need to look into that, actually. Actually, now that I just wrote that note down, I think I'm wrong, because the thing is, the list doesn't just hold the, it doesn't just hold the text item, it actually holds the buttons as well. So you see the lorem button and the ipsum button here. Oh yes, this is how we set the text subject, and then from, then to, which is where we need the user reference, so we can see the username, the date, which is where we need the clock reference, so we can get, well, oh yeah, so we can get pretty time of the email time. See, because I made it so you can pass specific times rather than just the current time, yeah, so we can get the date here, and then get the time here, and then we have the email's text, and then we add that item to the list, we create the buttons, add those to the list, then we have a local remove GUI function, which removes the buttons, the text, the list, the header, which is a collapsible category object, which is how come I could, you know, collapse and open the emails. Collapse and open? Yes, that is the right words. And we have an on-click, which is basically the same for both of these, so I need to refactor it so that it just kind of knows which one to use, because well, maybe. I don't know. I'll look into that later. That's again a polished thing, so I don't really need it. Then we have a save function and a load function. The save function is kind of interesting in that we have to go through all the emails and tell them to save. But the way that works is that the email object by default, it saves to a return value rather than serializing the data. Like, it's set up to where you can save an email as a actual file as well, but by default it just saves it to a data structure, and then we can serialize that data structure, and then we create any directories we need. This is a tiny bit of code I copied from another part of this project, which is called Love Update, which is an automatic update system. It's in this folder here, this release folder. Yeah, that's a thing I need to do. And then it writes data, of course, and then loading, same kind of deal. Yeah, it's a bit more interesting, but I'm not going to go into it too much. Then the productivity tracker, it basically gives itself that image in the taskbar here. I probably should remove the, or at least depreciate the taskbar add item. That's actually probably not a good idea now that I've written it down. Yeah, I end up doing that sometimes, but I'm using this video as an opportunity to kind of review code and decide if I'm doing things in a way that makes any kind of sense. Oh yes. Huh. That's interesting. Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot that I changed it. See, the observe function used to be its own local value, and now it's part of the class. And I don't remember exactly why I did that, but in any case, I need to remove that commented out line because there's no point in having it. Alright, so yeah, we observe the function. This is unnecessary as well. Yeah, I just did that so that it was in its own thing rather than a local to this file, so that it was more modular. I don't know if that's the best idea or not. I don't really care either way. In any case, it receives lorem ipsum, which is whether it was lorem or ipsum, and the email object. And then it goes through and it finds if your, let's see, if lorem ipsum is nil. Oh yeah, it's saying if you can't find whatever they chose, and you can't find it with it lowercase, then you got it wrong. And if you got it right, you do this, which means you got it right. And if you're late, yeah, it checks if your points are negative. If you're late, you get some points because at least you did it, but very little, which is up to a maximum of 120. This function is probably not that well written. I'll have to look into it, but it's probably, I'm not sure, but it's probably better that I just fucking replace this with just a flat value of 120, or at least change it, because I think the way it works right now, I think I made a mistake in that it gives you less points the sooner you do it, which doesn't make any sense. Next up, we have a multiplier on that point value based on who it was sent from, because each one, you know, might have, oh yes, project lead / project follow. Then we have customer, QA, CEO, blah, blah, blah. QQ and emailer are ignored, aka 1, because, you know, there's no multiplier. Then we get the score added with the points, and then of course we have the whole save and load, which literally just saves one value, which is your score. And that's about that. Thanks for watching. As always, hopefully this project goes somewhere. I know I keep starting new projects and then never go anywhere, but this one I've been working on for several days now. It's got quite a decent, it's a relatively small code base, but it's decent. And I've kept working on it, which has me have hope that it's going to go somewhere. Thanks for watching. As always, see you in space. I feel like I just said that already. I probably did. Sorry. Goodbye. Yeah, I'm gonna go now.